And welcome everybody once again to the next edition of the Newline Interactive Weekly Wisdom Webinar. Once again, my name is Tim Garber. I'm the training specialist here. And today, the topic, and this is actually going to be a shorter webinar overall, because the product I'm going to talk about today is going to be blissfully simple. That's actually one of the great things about it. Our X10D Android Mini Computer. And so I'll go through some of the finer points of this wonderful product, and then as usual, I will open it up to any questions, comments, or concerns. But let's just go ahead now and jump right in. And there it is, our X10D. It's a very nice and compact device. One of the great things about the fact that it is compact is you get a number of different placement options. You can have it sitting off to the side, which is perfectly fine because it connects, and you'll see the connections in a minute, but it connects the way that let's say a laptop or a desktop or a Chromebook or what have you would connect to one of our interactive displays, HDMI being the best choice for video and sound, certainly, and then a USB cable for the touch port. And so with that in mind, as long as you have those two connections, you can have it sitting off to the side, you can have it sitting behind, you can actually, I've even, in a couple of applications, I've actually taken some Velcro and tape the Velcro to the X10D and to the interactive display, and just had it attached via Velcro because it's very lightweight. So that's one of the things about it, is the fact that it's compact and you've got a number of different options for where you want to put it. But the idea behind it is an Android device, and it's going to give you access to the full Android experience. Here are some speeds and feeds. We won't spend a whole lot of time here, but basically, if you've seen standalone Android devices before, it's basically going to match up in terms of just the basic speeds and feeds as far as that goes. It does have full Wi-Fi connectivity. It is 802.11ac. It is dual band. So for as a device that can get onto an infrastructure, or a device that can get onto just a standard local area network, it's got all the capability there. If you want to go ahead and go Cat5 into an RJ45 jack, it's got that too. And again, I'll actually show you pictures of the ports so you can take a look and see what it actually has in terms of connectivity. How about right now? There it is. So you can see the HDMI. It does have SPDIF. If you want to get real fancy with audio, you can do that. There's the RJ45 jack right there. It's got a couple of USB ports. Obviously, you'll need one of them for touch ports when you connect it to an interactive display. One that's labeled USB OTG. It does, that OTG port, that means that you can use, that if you plug a cable there, you can actually power the X10D via the USB bus itself. So it is bus, it can be bus powered, but I'll tell you, you really got to have something that will consistently give you the 5 volts to do that, and not all USB ports are created equal. You'll have some that are a little high in the voltage, but a little low in the current, and some that maybe a little low in the current, or excuse me, a little low in the voltage, a little high on the current. I'll tell you that I wouldn't want to try it on anything less than like a USB 3.1 port, because the times that I've tried it, it's been, sometimes it'll work and sometimes it doesn't quite get there in terms of power. So I think you're better off going with the actual DC plug. But it does have 2 USB ports. One of them obviously will be for touch port. You can use the other one for a thumb drive if you want. It does have a micro SD slot. It'll go up to 32 gigs in the micro SD, so it won't handle the real serious HC stuff, but it will handle a card up to 32 gigs, so you can expand the storage that way if you wish. So that's a basic look at the connectivity of the device. And here's a look at the home screen. And the home screen, and if you're thinking to yourself, wow, it kind of has the same sort of style as, say, an X series. display. And yeah, it kind of does. I mean, that was on purpose. Is we wanted to give it kind of that same streamlined look and feel. It does have this wonderful floating menu that you can see there. You can actually put your finger in the dot in the middle there, and you can move that floating menu around. So it is a true floating menu, and it is Android standard. So it's got your back button, your app selector button, your app library button, and your home button. So it does kind of line itself up the way that an Android tablet would for the basic Android menu. So we wanted to make sure that folks had that functionality as well, so that they can navigate around it the way that one would navigate around any Android device. And the rest of the interface, of course, is very clean. We want to make sure that people have easy visual access to things and then can just touch and go according to their usage scenario. And if I move ahead here a little bit, this area here in the middle is, in fact, for shortcuts. So with whatever app I have installed on the X10D, I can hit the add button. And let me get my pen going here. I can hit the add button right here. And I have, I think it's like 11 slots to use for app shortcuts. So for whatever the most frequently apps in my usage scenario would be, I can throw them right there and have one-touch access to them without having to always go to the All Apps menu. So that's a convenient way also to navigate around the device. And moving on from there, and as I mentioned, it is in fact the full Android experience, and that's really the idea behind this, is that you have a device now where you log in with your Google account, and whether it's a personal account or a work account or a school account, and you can access the app library and access the Play Store to grab whatever app you need, and you can download that, install it, and use it, just like you would on an Android tablet. It's also very easy to get cloud storage connectivity, and so we want to make sure that folks can get access to whatever library of content they need through whatever service they use. It's basically the usual suspects are there. So if we're talking about the usual suspects, it's very easy to get connected to cloud storage. So you have access to the Play Store to get all the apps that you need to use, get access to your cloud storage in whatever service that you use. The usual suspects are there, and then you get the full package. So you get the full Android experience, and then you can use the X10D to work and or play in whatever fashion you choose. And you've got it on this wonderful interactive display where you have the touch port going, and so you've got this big giant tablet, big giant Android tablet is really what your interactive display becomes. And that's a wonderful thing to think about, because if we are talking about usage scenarios overall, and kind of get into where would this come into play? I mean, I get it. I got this big tablet, but now what are we talking about in terms of customer usage scenarios? And what we're talking about is, and again, just keeping it simple, thinking about ways in which customers could leverage technology like this. Maybe their usage scenario is they want to migrate away from a PC or from a Mac, or from the traditional device that we think of when we are going with an interactive display, the things that we typically attach to that. The PC is very often the idea, and it's still a great idea if we're talking about an interactive environment. But now you have an opportunity to use something that allows you with a very app-centric platform to migrate away from the PC. Maybe you're a customer who is tied to Google's ecosystem. And this is a great way, because it is an Android device, to leverage your living in that ecosystem and using all the things that you typically want to use, and having access to the big screen and thus the big giant Android tablet in order to make those things sing. And then again, what I mentioned before, being app specific. Maybe you have a suite of apps that are part of the Android environment that you need to use in order to get something done. It could be just day-to-day work. It could be something project specific. But this allows you then to have access to a device where people can join in and brainstorm and have access to this big giant tablet in the room and be able to use those app-specific things in an environment that is conducive to sharing. And that's the other great aspect of this is that with a regular Android tablet, it's a little hard to share that. I mean, yeah, you can pass the thing around, but now when you have an interactive display, you've got that big Android tablet in the room, and it's a lot nicer to share and collaborate on that kind of a device. And so these would be and what this all leads to is it leads to the idea of convenience and ease of use, which, as we already know, is always the big theme of anything that has to do with Newline Interactive. And the X10D follows suit as far as that goes. And so that's the look at the X10D. I told you this was going to be a short one. And so there it is. That is, again, it's nice, easy, straightforward, but I do want to make sure that, as always, I open it up to any questions that folks may have about the device. So if you have any questions, you are welcome to unmute yourself and ask away. I will now open it to the floor. Okay, as I said, if there are any additional questions you want to reach out to me, just one-on-one, you are more than welcome to do that. And you can also reach out to your Newline Regional Sales Manager. They are also here to help you as well. Again, this is recorded, and as we always do with weekly webinars, this will get posted to YouTube, so you can go back and review later whenever you wish. Or if you've got a coworker who wasn't able to join us today, they can go right to our YouTube channel. This will be available early next week. But I want to thank everyone who had an opportunity to join us today. And there won't be a webinar next week, so we will send a link for another repeat of a webinar that we've already had in play, but we will be back live again the week after. And I'll send out the invitation, as I usually do, for that. And keep an eye on social media, because we always throw it out there in social media as well. But I want to thank everyone who had an opportunity to join us for the Newline Interactive Weekly Webinar. I want everyone to have a happy and safe weekend, and we will see you next time.